just nice to know that there are many people who are supporting other people, trying to help people. It is always a joy because I remember was one of them many times. Still is in many ways, but one of them, children hungry, not having food, hoping that somebody will be behind. And to see that this event is about that, I do really appreciate that. There's so many people in need of our Lord. And we're talking about forgiveness. You know, when I was writing this book, the first book, now that I wrote many more, I didn't think about me writing about forgiveness. I was just sharing a story because many people I used to work with, United Nations especially, used to tell me that when they hear my story, they feel like they can put things in perspective. And they encourage me to write. When I was writing, I thought maybe 10 people will read my book, then became more work. There are many things maybe I would not have written if I knew that so many people will read it. But it is a joy to know that you share every one of my old friends. But really, what makes me go around and share my story is especially people who come back and share with me that my story has helped them. And that really what gives me strength to go on and continue to share around the world and around this country. I remember somebody told me that after he read my book, he was angry with a family member for the past 54 years. And he told me for the first time in those 54 years, after I read your book, I was able to sleep in peace. And that's exactly what I remember of me going through that journey of forgiving. It wasn't that I realized, oh, what a hero, look at me, I can forgive. It's just to see the feelings changing. And I can sleep, and then the next day I can think back, what happened to me? Why am I feeling much better than I used to feel a few days ago? So I just knew what this person felt. And there's another person, she was a Jewish Holocaust survivor. I remember that I spoke, she came to me, she was crying, and she grabbed me and she said, my child, I was waiting for somebody like you, who have lived it. And if you can tell me you forget, you were able to do it, then I can do it. And if I go, I can go in peace today. At least you lived it and you can tell me you know how it feels like. And I was so happy that somebody can get that from God. Even if again I thought, this is a small story, part of my story. But who knew that that would be the part that maybe will grab people's hearts and maybe let them go through that also. I'm really grateful for that. As you saw in the documentary, the genocide happened in 1994. I was a school student in the college, and I happened to be home for Easter holiday. I remember then they wanted me home that time for Easter holiday because we had only 1 week, and I was in a boarding school, and I was supposed to have an exam right after. My parents wrote me a letter, and I told them that I wanted to stay in school that week to prepare my exam. And they wrote me back, they said, no, you are our child. You belong to us. You don't belong to school. You come home for the week, and we will give you a room to study. I really truly left out of obedience. I was mad. How can my dad ask me to come like this when he knows I have an exam? But I said, well, my parents had asked me, I have to go. I went home, thank God, if I can say that, I truly believe, even those who are dead, everyone has a purpose on earth. As long as we still love God and we can still see that, I'm sure they saw it better. So I don't want to say thank God I went home, but I have found my purpose, my love for God in everything that happened. But out of 2,500 students that we were in that school, 900 that stayed behind that week, everyone was killed after I left. So just when I went home and I found what happened, I'm like, oh my God, why did I even come? How does it work? Like, what we know for life, we just follow the voice in our minds. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what is right or what is wrong. So I went home, and I was there for a few days, 3 days, and the genocide started. I never forgot. The day everything happened was on Wednesday, the 7th of April, exactly this month, a few weeks ago. We celebrated the 16th anniversary of the genocide. And my brother, who was home also for Easter holiday, I remember he came home, he came to my room about 6 o'clock. He pushed the door of my bedroom, and I remember he was dressed as somebody going on a trip. The because he never did that before, to come to my room that early. And he told me what happened. The president of the country died. I remember jumping out of the bed and holding my head and screaming, oh my God, they are going to kill us. And I remember he said, why do you think they're going to kill us? I'm like, don't you see? Look at what they used to say in that radio, that one day they were going to kill people of my tribe. Again, they say that, but you just thought, how can anyone wake up in the morning and go to kill a whole tribe? Not like someone had done wrong to them. So we knew that we couldn't fathom the reality of that happening. And they did prepare for the whole year, a genocide. The journalists on that radio, they used to make themselves like they were drunk so that they can say all the bad things and they won't be held responsible. So they would say things like, we will kill them one day, we'll finish even the children, and they'll be laughing. And then they'll be like, give me scotch, give me whiskey. And they'll be saying all the bad jokes, just to make everything like a joke. And then they will say, they told people we're going to cut their trees, we're going to cut their legs. And that's the things that we're talking about. So we knew something like that can happen, but again, we don't know. But in that second, I was like, oh my God. Another thing for many people here, maybe who knows, about the apparitions of Our Lady, the Blessed Mother. She appeared, you know, about balloons, Fatima, and Guadalupe. There's an apparition in Rwanda, in a place called Kibeho. It is the subject of my third book. Our Lady appeared in Rwanda 12 years before the genocide and predicted the genocide. She said a horrible thing was going to happen to our country if people did not change, did not come back to God. She showed the pictures of people killing each other, the missionaries. She showed them people killing each other in machetes. She showed them a river of blood with dead bodies. And I remember the missionaries used to scream and say, Mother, this can never happen to our country. And Our Lady used to cry and say, my children, I want you to understand each other. I want you to love one another. I want you to be sincere to one another. And if you don't do that, and you remember that you are brothers and sisters, all of you, regardless of what religion you come from, what tribe, that is going to happen. And I can never forget when she said, it does not have to happen. To think that today a genocide would not have happened if we have only listened. She sent messages to the president to make people listen to it, you know, live together. He didn't do anything. Send messages to priests, to pastors, for we teach people to love one another. They did it. So we knew a horrible thing like that could happen, and I knew in my mind, went right back to Kibeho when I used to go there on the shrine. I'm like, oh my God, is this the time of what had been predicted? Well, I remember I came out with my brother, and he was just confused. We were all confused. We met my parents, they didn't know what to do. Everyone was just like, what is going on? What is this? I remember we put on the radio, and we started to listen to the news of what was going on inside the country. And I remember BBC, the Radio International Radio, reported about 18 families that were killed after 2 hours. The president was killed. And I remember by reporting something like 5 children, a mom and dad, and grandma and grandpa have just been killed. 8 children, grandma and grandpa, and mom and dad, and aunts and uncles. And I remember my dad one time said, this never happened before, where they killed everybody in the family. And of course, that what made it a genocide. A genocide is an attempt to kill everybody in a race or in a group of people. So we knew that something was strange, and they started to suspect